Hi, YouTube. Excuse me a moment. I got to take a sip of my coffee. I just put a cigarette out, so just kidding. Just a second. Cool. My oldest son asked me if I'd teach his wife how to make lefsa and banana bread and orange bread, some of my things I make. But I usually don't use recipes, so I asked him which one he wanted first, and he said lefsa. So I thought, well, I haven't been on here for a while, so I'll explain the Lefsa thing and then I'll just tell you what's been going on with me. And you might be kind of freaked out and surprised or not. Maybe your days have been a little hectic like mine. As you can tell, I look a little tired. We've had really late nights and even getting up in the morning to go out and water my horse and that. I mean, I do every day. I always will, but it's been extremely difficult. Not as bad as when I had my broken arm. I had broken toes and then a broken arm. And that was after I had a horse accident and a stroke. And oh, and just real quick, some people don't know the stroke I had was because we had water fittings. We had all our gas lines done underneath our house, up to the house from the gas, the LP tank, and it was leaking carbon monoxide in our home for 2 years straight till we found out there was water fittings put on there instead. We should have sued them, but we're not like really big taking people to courts. And but I mean, after that, my health just went downhill, and but that kind of started it, I would say. But anyway, enough of that poor me crap. But let's get to the lefse. What I would recommend the first time you make it, I usually would make like a 10-pound bag of potatoes. And I suppose you can, for a bigger family, it will take all day. It's not something that you can just throw together and think, oh, that this isn't time consuming. It's extremely time consuming. So I would start with 5 pounds of potatoes, but the measurements will vary with the moisture content in your potatoes. So um, what I tell you will just be kind of you'll they'll always turn out okay. If you follow what I'm saying here, they'll always be okay. So you peel up your potatoes and you boil them just like you're going to boil for mashed potatoes or whatever. You can chunk them up, you can do them whole, however you want. I prefer using white potatoes are drier. Red potatoes taste a little sweeter. For this recipe, though, the white potatoes probably would be the ones that you'd want to start with on an experience level because they're drier to start with and easier. It'll be easier for you to work with. So peel up your potatoes, put them in your pot, boil them, mash them just like you're going to for mashed potatoes. If you're putting in butter or a little bit of, I know my daughter-in-law will use almond milk, a little bit of that, whatever you put in your potatoes to mash them up. But don't make them too watery and don't worry if there's any lumps in them at all. You can do this the day before. In fact, that's okay. Leftover mashed potatoes are perfect for this recipe. And you could even use a little bit of them just to try and see if you like making lefse, and if you don't, I mean, the end result, fresh lefse, is so delicious. The old timers, the Norwegians and the Swedes, they just put butter on them and sprinkle sugar on it and roll it up. And a lot of them, or just eat it alongside lutefisk and boiled potatoes, or no, or ham and potatoes or whatever, as their staple as a the bread for the meal. But I've used them for burritos, breakfast burritos, sandwiches, whatever. I like mine cold with butter on them. Like after everything's all done, everybody's had some when they're warm. And so, okay, so you got your potatoes, they're all done and they're cool, or at least room temperature. And you can put them in cold water even before you mash them. Like I said, don't worry if there's a few lumps, they'll all come out. What you'll need then, you can put a little sugar in them. Some recipes call for that in with the dough you're going to make. So you got your mashed potatoes, but I don't do that because who needs the extra sugar or extra fat in anything, right? I mean, it is what it is. But you can taste the potato flavor, I think, a lot better if you leave the sugar out, you know. And you can make like cinnamon sugar and sprinkle it on there, or peanut butter jellies, whatever. Use them for that. Okay, so well, after you got your dough made, then the first thing I do is take about a cup of flour. Have your whole counter or your table clean. You're going to have a very large um, work area. You want to roll them out about the size of a pie crust, I would say. Well, or you could start with smaller ones. You can make like 6-inch ones. I use electric fry pan. You can use cast iron, whatever kind you want. You put it on medium heat. You'll be able to, it's kind of like frying a pancake, and you'll be able to tell right away if you've got the heat right. And you really can't mess them up. It's pretty hard. When they start getting kind of golden on one side, and I'll tell you how to make them in a minute here, but when they start getting kind of golden, they'll get these little brown spots. That's what you want. You don't put any grease in your pan. You're going to have a spatula, pancake turner, that you can scrape the dry flour out after you've put one in there. So, what you do is you mix the flour into the dough, and you want the dough to feel kind of like a peanut butter cookie dough will, so you can roll it in your hand. And so you get it, and have, like I say, extra flour around with your rolling pin there. You always want to keep your rolling pin floured. Well, what I'll do is cut up, like about, or even use my hand and scoop out several rolls of dough and get them ready and set them to the side. I always set them on some extra flour and maybe sprinkle even with a sieve or whatever, a little extra flour on top of them, because they really just can't get too dry at this point. Um, and you start out with about a little bigger than a golf ball size. Try them for a bit, and those are the easiest ones to turn. So if I'm using my electric frying pan, I'll put it on about 350. Now the hard thing is, and have a hot pad holder handy too by you, so you can pick your pan up and scrape it off into the garbage, or even on a pile on your counter for the dry brown yucky stuff, whatever you got. But that's the dangerous part. And if you got kids around, they kind of have to either really be good with helping around hot stuff, or you'll have to do that part all by yourself, because it is a little dangerous. And when you first start doing it, it's really hard to do. And you'll get your timing down for when you'll get your next one ready. But you don't want to roll them out too soon. You want to just about be rolling the next one when your first one's done. And you have a plate, and you put your first one down there, cover it with a tea towel, and or a clean cloth. Or you really don't have to, but they stay warm almost all day if you stack them and you keep flipping them and alternating them. And so, okay, just pretend we're rolling out one. and you got your surface floured and you got that one. If it's a little too gooey, throw it all back in there and throw a little more flour in it. You want it really stiff and really, you want to be able to even see the flour on the surface of the thing. So, and if it sticks to your rolling pin when you're rolling it out, like I said, throw it all back in the batch. You're not going to hurt anything. Throw more flour in it and start over and see if that one's sticky. As long as you get one that you can roll out like a pie crust and it's not sticking to your counter, your board, or your work surface, if you have a silpat or whatever you use, and um, one of them pastry sheets, or you could even use like the wax side of butcher paper, but and I've done that like on I lived in places that I wouldn't have wanted to roll anything out on the counter, like down south with places I lived where even if they exterminated, you still had cockroaches, that type of thing. I'd always use something and never use my counter. But where you live is probably pretty nice, so from what I can tell, so you shouldn't have too much problem, having a work area. So you get one in there and flip it over and get the brown spots on the other side and just keep doing that till you got a stack. And like I said, keep flipping them over and alternating them so your warm ones are always on the bottom, and you can alternate them. Like after you get like three hot ones, flip it over and then flip them in half, and as you go through them, just kind of keep moving them, and they're easy to move. They won't rip once you get going on them. And if you have any problems after that, just give me a call or message me and I can help you out. But really, that's about it. And and they're so good. You'll love them. So that's how I do them, and I'm sure there's lots of YouTubers that'll sit there and go step by step on how to make them. But given the moisture in the air or the moisture in the spuds that you use or whatever, and even your liquids, what milk or products you put in it might make a difference too. And I've never made them with any almond or soy milk or anything like that. So I may not know nothing I'm talking about here if you're using those ingredients. I'm sure they'll turn out fine. I'm pretty sure. I've used powdered milk that I've made and put in them before. So, like when the kids were little, just using ingredients I had around to make our food, whatever we had, and that type of thing. So, I hope they turn out. I should make some. They sound good. I'm having General Tao's chicken for supper, takeout Chinese, and fried rice. Doug goes, "Do you want Chinese for supper?" I said, "No, thank you. I don't eat people." Or a little Chinese, he said. And I said, "No, thank you. I don't eat people." And I go, "Maybe a big one." Sick, right? Okay. Enough of the bad jokes. That's kind of in the mood I'm in. I've been in a really bad mood. In fact, I was so angry last night. I was swearing, and that takes a lot to get me to that point. So I've been quiet on social media as far as speaking face to face because I really am not in the best of spirits. I'd like to really fuck somebody up, but I'm not. I mean, really, really, and this is no bullshit. I have been stalked by the Illuminati my entire life, and I'm going to be 64 next week, and I'm getting sick of it. You know, I really am. It's not one day of not being tormented by somebody. It doesn't matter where I go, you know. And people say life is what you make it. No, it isn't. I've worked my ass off and been decent to people my entire life, and that's why they want me dead. So these stupid little sayings, or you are your own worst enemy. You go yourself. I've never been my own enemy. I got one enemy, and he hates me. He hates you too. So, mm. So here's what's been going around my home. Christmas Day, Doug was driving to town, come down the dirt road, gets to the curve. It's a pretty big hill coming down into our valley. It's kind of like a hollow on the creek bottom. There's a curve, and the wheel had fallen off the truck. So called AAA, and they told us it would be 5.5 hours. Yeah, well, it's close to home. Not a major big deal. And we got a tractor. Still not a great big, major big deal. But then the cop comes. He's like, well, you got an hour to get it off the road or we're going to tow it. Oh, great. So, in the meantime, he calls me again. I mean, he was walking up the road and it was dark out with the flashlight, and that's kind of spooky anyway when you're. Out in the country. Well, anyway, so he calls, and I felt like I was a little bit harassed, but I mean, he was nice enough, and I know he meant well, but from what I understand, the truck was far enough off the side of the road that it really wasn't an issue. But he sat there like the cop he was to make sure nobody had an accident, which was wonderful. And so we called a favor in from a friend, and he helped tow our car home. Well, or truck, he helped Doug chain up a tractor, and we pulled it home. And then our hot water, or I mean our pump went out in our house. I thought I had it fixed. I thought it was just the electronic switch on it, the points, and I cleaned them, and I thought everything, and it was running for a while, but it went out. So we were without water and had to pack water in for a week. We just had water for a few days now, and I'm just getting caught up on, well, I got almost caught up on my laundry and the dishes, and that is it. When you have OCD and you can't do your dishes and they're sitting in the sink, that'll drive you crazier than anything in the world, just about, except for a pedophile. In my mind. So, um, that happened, and then last week, um, oh, and then we got another truck, and then we got another one we're fixing too. We've got vehicles that we shouldn't be driving in the wintertime because, like, classics, like a bubble fendered 77 Ford 3/4 ton, beautiful, beautiful truck. But, or like our hot rod, stuff like that. I mean, we could drive them, but. So, anyway, this friend of ours asked if he could borrow our diesel because it's got a fifth wheeler and you can pull it stuff with the dually and everything. Doug said no because the front tire was bad and he was looking for one that same size, and so he decided to give the same guy who wanted to borrow it a ride to town, and the wheel popped on him, the tire. So he didn't wait there for Doug. He got a ride from some guy. Okay, so both times we called AAA, they failed us. This time they said, what was it? That they would be there in an hour and a half. 4 hours later, and this friend of ours had got a ride from a guy and took him home, and well, took him to do his shopping in town, then took him home, then came back to check on Doug. Well, it just so happened the guy had a rollback, and we were able to pay him to get us home. 400 bucks for like 20 miles or something. But we're going to charge AAA for that. And the same with the one time before that, because when you pay for a service, and Doug's had AAA from 1959 until now. That's a long time to be pay for a service that they didn't honor. So they left him sit there for 4 hours. In the meantime, beautiful little state highway patrol pulled up. I don't know if it was a man or a woman. I think I just say beautiful because he was a lying sack of crap. Told Doug, Doug goes, do you think it is really cold out? It's sub-zero. He goes, do you think you could check on me in about a half hour to see if I'm still alive? Guy goes, oh, yeah, yeah, I'll come back and check. Never did, you know. So much for AAA. I used to recommend people, and we got a AAA gold card, where they're supposed to be able to pull us if we're like 200 miles from home, you know, or help us with gas or a tire or, any of them type of services. And what we heard is all the trucks in the area were busy down in Iowa. What? It's like we know people personally that have towing services that are further north, but they're not all the way down in Iowa. It's not like they're 300 miles away. So what they did is they take our money, then they say, "Yeah, we're going to send somebody and give you service and leave you sit there." That's what they've done twice now within a month and a half. So, anyway, let's see. Anything else? Well, yeah, all kinds of things. I it's just like been one thing right after another. I'm not kidding. So it's been a little hard for me to get on here and show a happy face and encouragement when I've actually not been too happy. And I can't say, well, keep your chin up and endure till the end. And this shit gets old. I'm sick of it, entirely. I really am. You know, I've got a saying. They say turn the other cheek. We only have four of them, people. I can't turn any more cheeks. They've all been beat on and broken. I've had enough. Enough's enough. With all this political crap going on and all the liars out there, it's unbearable to me. It really is. And one of the things and this pissed me off worse than just about anything. But I mean, for a while I was kind of overlooking it. I was okay. It's like all this information that I put out on the web about 20 years ago, talking to people that are now out there making money off of what I've already said. That's low flipping shit right there, you know. And some of it I've even forgotten. If somebody brings something to my mind, it's like, oh yeah, yeah. What don't I know about? But and I'm not being a fathead. See, that's another thing. How do I possibly say I already know about that? Or somebody tells me, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I've known all my life. Um, who do I have to talk to? You know, what I'm waiting for these people that are like the Masons that I know for sure that are on here on YouTube. Hey, y'all. I'm waiting for you people to start telling the absolute truth, not doling it out in bits and pieces to make money off of people like you do. You know, so I don't have anything in life as far as riches except for an old horse and a little dog. And yeah, I live in a really crappy house that needs work all the time. The only reason we have the home we live in is because we didn't buy new cars. I worked on my own cars as a woman. I'm like 4:30 in the morning out there putting on electronic ignition on my little Dodge Ram truck so I could get to work. You know, that type of thing. I didn't buy new shoes. I didn't go buy new clothes. I wore used stuff. We saved. We ate garbage to save for our house to have a roof over our head. You know, I didn't live in luxury. I never did. Even when I was raised by the Masons, they malnutritioned me. They did not treat me like a human being. I was their flippin' slave. Not much has really changed in my life. So you might see kind of like I got a few anger issues. Yeah, I guess they're my issues. But you know what? They're becoming your issues. And that's why I'm out here talking about it. Because when I found out what they wanted to do to the human race and have been doing this whole time, that's why I'm out here talking. And it's totally out of love. So, for every human being. And here, I got one more issue I want to touch on really quick. Some of my friends out there, and I'm blessed to have people that do understand this, but like the younger generation, gentlemen, if I befriend you and I say I love you and you're my friend, I even when I was sexually active, and that's been decades now, nobody touches me because my moral standings are too high and nobody's good enough. So think what you will. I don't care. But I'm just telling you, in no way, form, fashion, in any thought within my whole being would I ever think of any younger person in a sexual relationship, not even an older one, and not even my own husband. So just get that straight. So you know that for your own self. Because I've been treated, and this is no bullshit. I've had men that were attracted to me. Then you want to fucking torture me for what you were thinking and thinking that I'm thinking the same way. Don't go there. That's not me. You ever want to find somebody that has control and willpower and control over their sexual urges? You're looking at her. So just keep that in mind. And I think, and I'm hoping God will lead the person in particular that really in particular, I mean, because I said I love you to somebody. When I say I love you and you have God in your heart, that's the part of you I'm loving. If you take it anywhere else, that's on you. So just so we got that covered. So, and people that know me, they know that. And I'll tell you another thing. I've never met a man that can look me in my eyes and not cower because I'm straight up like that. So, yeah, I swear I smoke, and those are my bads, you know. And I have urges sometimes to beat the crap out of people, and I've never started a fight. Well, since I was little, I had a few of them, but I still kind of didn't start them, you know. If somebody touched me, you know, I had some issues sometimes. And I've had to fight for my life many, many times. So, yeah, I'm a fighter. I kind of even like it. So, I'm not totally perfect. I'm not pretending that I am. That's just me. So, I'm on a Lefsa on that. And I do love y'all, and I'll try and be back sooner. Like I said, things have just been flipping crazy, crazy beyond crazy is the name of my life. My book was going to be You Can Run But You Can't Hide. I had it half written, and it was so sick actually just writing about my life and trying to reread it to proofread it made me ill, you know. It was a hard thing. Then my computer went down. Just like all of a sudden, it was like, that was really odd. But I had a lot of work into it. I really did. But it was 1995. I got a hold of the Grand Lodge of Masons in, I think it was Pittsburgh. Might have been Philly, but it was in Pennsylvania because I knew that that was the last place that those vials of diseases that I found under the Grand Lodge stairs in the Blue Lodge in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was called the Bryn Mawr Lodge. And I knew those were the last place in America that they were. And then they were sent over to Singapore. And all the diseases that are on this planet were manufactured by them via Satan. And they know it, and I know it. They know my bloodline, and I know who they are too. And people are like, well, this is my name. What can you tell me about me? Well, you know what? Actually, I'm not a computer and I can't do the ancestry.com thing, but I can look in your eyes and I can tell you where you come from. But mostly studying from where the Satan bloodline actually came from Egypt up into China, over to Norway, and then scattered all the way around the world. And there were no little people, well, maybe midgets, but there were no tiny little people, and there were no giants. There are no reptilians and there are no aliens. There are human beings messing with other human beings. And I'm out here to tell you, I'm sick of it. I hope you're sick of it too. Because being sick of it and looking at these people, as stupid as they act, as evil as they are, the things that they will do for money against other humans. There's another thing. There's family living in tents in the snow in my state. There's people all over the world starving. And I know I would give the shirt off my back in a heartbeat to anybody. As a matter of fact, that's been a lot of the last couple weeks why we didn't get our pump done right away because we were helping somebody. You know, there's been too many times in my life I've seen where people could do more and they chose not to. And it is always the ones with the least that do the most. I've noticed that. I bet you have too. So, well, I'm going to leave it here. I love you all, and I'll try and be back sooner. Not going to apologize. I needed a break. I really did. I took some days and tried to sleep in, but like the phone would ring or something just like totally crazy because like I used to either work nights or I'd get up like really early feeding animals all my life. It's like I need some breaks in my life, major soon, or somebody's gonna get hurt. It's not gonna be me, you know. That's what I told Doug. I said I gotta move or do something because when I get to the point of swearing, that's beneath myself. And I was swearing at him last night, and I'm not ashamed of it. He deserved it. I just don't like it when I get like that. So, anyway, that's what's going on with me today, and Okay, peace and love. I do love y'all. Have a good day, and I'll pray for you. Pray for me. I think we all could use a bunch of it. All right. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.